Merry Christmas and happy holidays, everybody. With the end of this new year in 2024, looking forward to 2025, where I'll be hosting a ton of online meetup games coming very, very soon on Club WPT Gold. So if you want to hop in and get early access to the brand new poker site that's coming to America, and you live in the US, click the link in the description below, use the code Rampage, and I'll be hosting all these meetup games at friendly stakes from micro stakes, $1, $2, and maybe even stream some bigger games as well. So I'm looking forward to a brand new year, new opportunities, and let's get into this video.
Let's get started under the bright lights of Hustler Casino Live playing some high-stakes poker. The lights are so bright, I'm rocking these silly goggles and starting off with a $25,000 buy-in, and most importantly, I've got a dream. Trust me, I don't end up playing with just the $25K for long, and we're just getting warmed up here. But early on, Mariano shows up just a tad late, but he came bearing gifts. We say hello, but he brings me a very special lottery ticket. It's actually a ticket from 3 years ago during our first trip to Texas together, hosting a meetup game at the lodge. One random night during this trip, we got gas and purchased a $5 ticket, and it's actually a $20 winner. Instead of cashing it, we've exchanged this back and forth throughout the years as a memento of our friendship. And I haven't actually seen it in over a year now, but what a lovely surprise. He's been a great friend, and I appreciate our relationship over the years, despite all the pots we've played against each other, but had to shine some light on this moment as I do appreciate this, and maybe this lucky lottery ticket will give me the run good. About 30 minutes in, we've taken the goggles off, sadly already. It's just a little too outrageous to wear. But Brown Baller starts off with a raise to $1,000 with the 400 straddle on. I have Ace Jack offsuit and make the call. Dr. P calls, and now Bulldog puts in a 3-bet to 4,300. Like I said, action is really ramping up from the first hand. Brown Baller makes the call, and I call too with Ace Jack, and we're going to go to a flop of 10-7-5 Rainbow. Action checks to me, and I really don't have a good hand for this flop, especially multi-way. I decided to check this one back off to a turn, which is the 4 of diamonds. Action checks through once again, so it doesn't seem like much is happening here. River 6, here we go. Ace Jack unimproved. Brown Baller puts out a bet of $4,000. I obviously make the easy fold, but he does get called by Bulldog and ends up taking it down with 2 pair. So I chip down here about $5,000, losing about 20% of my stack in the early goings. But hey, $5,000 is going to go real quickly in this game as I add on for more chips, add on for another $25K. So I'm in the game for $50,000 total now. It's been a really quiet first hour for me, but here Bulldog raises up to $600. He gets a flurry of calls and look down at Ace Jack offsuit once again, this time in the $200 straddle. Gonna get involved, of course, and I decide to do the 3-betting myself to $4,000. Mariano and Tuff are the only customers, so we've got a $12,000 pot brewing here just pre-flop. To the flop we go of King Jack 4, 2 spades. We got middle pair and just completely out of position against 2 opponents. I decided to check this hand. Mariano now fires out 4,500, followed by a tough snap call, which actually gives me some cause for concern. Kind of torn between wanting to call or fold here, and in the past, I've certainly called more times than I should have when I'm in these 2 decision points, but it seems very ambitious to play the rest of this hand multi-way and also play it well. So I just let it go, and clearly it was a really good decision as Mariano has a set, as you can see. Even crazier, the turn is a massive cooler for Tuff as he ends up turning 2 pair and loses a $100,000 pot set over 2 pair. Another instance, Mariano sun running in the early goings. And I'm just very glad I got out of the way. Only escaping with losing $4,000 seems like a huge win given the setup. Moving right along as Brown Baller puts on the $400 straddle from the cutoff, so it's a pretty weird spot. I'm on the button, but I'm actually first to act pre-flop, looking down at Ace-10 offsuit. I throw in a limp here of 400, and it becomes a 3-way limped pot. Well, this flop's pretty good for me, an Ace-9-7 Rainbow. Top pair, action checks to me, and definitely going to be throwing out a wager of $600. And EFAN is my only customer. So heads up to the turn, which is the 3 of hearts. It brings in a backdoor flush draw. My opponent checks one more time, and with top pair, a mediocre kicker, I would say. Definitely have a lot of hands I can get value from, so I fire out 2,000. Trying to squeak out some value, EFAN does make the call, and we're going to a river with this pot building. It's the 9 of hearts. Oh, that is rough. Backdoor flush draw gets there. Second pair turns into trips, and it's definitely a hand he could have having with just a 9 here. Efan takes his time and does not elect for a check, which is not lovely here. He leads out for $5,000, which is a pretty big bet considering the size of the pot. So I'm obviously very annoyed. This is not a great spot to be in, and with top pair and no heart in my hand, will I find the heart inside me to call? It just doesn't feel like my hand is good ever here. So it's hard to find that many hands my opponent is going to bluff here with as well, I think. So I take it some thought, give it some consideration, but reluctantly make another fold and obviously get shown the great news that you can already see on screen. He ended up rivering the 9, which is a little annoying. Not a whole lot going right my way in the early goings, and we're about 2 hours into the game. Immediately following that shuffle, let's get back into the mix. Brown baller limps in for 400. Straddles are out here in full force, and I see ace queen, and I want some redemption. Put in a raise to $3,000, and Ishan makes the call. So heads up to a flop, which comes really freaking good. An ace, deuce, 3, 2 hearts. With top pair, my opponent checks to me, and I decided to be a little sneaky here with a good top pair. I check this one back, going to a turn, which is the 6 of diamonds. Now, brown baller leads out for a small bet of $2,000, and definitely time to spring in the trap, I think. I mean, my hand is just really good, and I think it's ahead of a lot of hands that my opponent could be betting here with. So I make a raise to $9,000, pretty much putting in a large majority of his stack and trying to get value from worse or maybe some combo draws or a lot of different things going on with his board. Anyways, I can definitely see how it's a tough decision for my opponent's hand, but he does end up making the call. And now to a river we go, which is the 6 of hearts. Once again, another annoying spot. The board is paired and the flush draw gets there. But when Ishan checks, I mean, I think my opponent has just way too little in his stack to check this one back. Can definitely get value from worst aces and non-believing pairs. So let's hope he has one of those hands. I am all in, followed by a snap. Oh, that's just the worst news for me. Come on, dealer. He shows the trips, and it's just bad. I'm bleeding money, losing a $50,000 pot when I haven't even won today yet at all. But gotta give him kudos. He has a very nice hand with trips, but I'm stuck over $30,000 now. Like, come on. Just seems like a really tough hole to climb out of, and considering I can't even win a pot right now, winning at all seems impossible. So shortly after this hand, I just YOLO add on for $45,000 more. So nearly in for $100,000. We're only 2 hours in with a whole lot more of poker to play, and clearly I'm steamed, guys. I've got a lot of chips. Let's put them into play. Bulldog raises and Henry 3-bets to $3,000. I look down at ace 3 of clubs on the $200 straddle, and I'm just going to put more chips in the middle. I 4-bet to $8,000 here, trying to put a lot of Henry's hands into a tough spot, and Henry does end up putting in the call. Flop comes 9-9-3 to spades, so hitting a pair seems pretty ideal and fine. I'm going to take it. Henry checks. I'm going to need some protection with my small pair, and I bet 5,500. And luckily, 5,500 is enough to win this pot. Get an $8,000 rebate by winning this hand after losing the brutal one to 6-4. And with the action getting off the rails, Dr. P limps in for 400. Henry then raises to 3,000 from the blind, and I've got ace 10 of diamonds. 3,000 seems like a pretty reasonable price for a hand this strong, so I make the call, and Dr. P now goes all in. He springs the trap after limping under the gun, and it's an all-in for about $8,000. Henry isn't going to go anywhere. I'm not going to go anywhere. In for penny, in for a pound, as they say. Let's go play a $24,000 pot with plenty left on the side to play for. The flop comes 9-8 deuce, 2 clubs and a diamond. Action goes check, check, because I don't really see a whole lot of incentive here to bet my ace high. So the turn comes the deuce of diamonds. Wow, board is paired, and I have a lot more opportunities with the flush draw. Action goes check, check yet again, but the river ace. There we go. Hitting top pair, but not a lot of action so far this hand. Henry checks, and I just don't know what to do. Pretty uncomfortable with the top pair and a medium strength kicker. I mean, I don't even know what I get value from Henry that's going to be checking all 3 streets. So I think better than to bet, and I just check, expecting to win a good bet. And of course, whenever I say I think I'm going to win, chalk it up to a fat L as Dr. P has ace king. Just when I thought I was going to get some more momentum my way, it gets sucked right the other way as this $25,000 pot goes into the wrong direction. In the very next shuffle, Mariano raises. Ishan 3-bets to 2,100, and I got Jack 10 suited. And I'm still steaming, guys. Of course, nothing like sticking in more money when I'm behind, right? I 4-bet to 5,500. Mariano wisely gets out of the way, and Ishan flicks it in with, well, just a premium. The flop comes 8-4-5, 2 diamonds. He checks it over to me here, and this is probably just a horrific flop for my hand, and probably for me in general. But, obviously I think I should check, but I'm tilted, and I fire out $6,000. Let's just do it. Why am I doing it? It's ambitious and clearly not going to work as I get check raised to 15K and fold. Come on. More money going down the drain. Am I tilted at this point? We're going to find out, because with 6-7 of spades, I try to redeem myself again, go back to war, and this time with the $800 straddle on, I make it 2,400. Your casual 50, 100, 200, 400, 800 game. Henry defends the straddle with a call. Flop comes Jack 10-10, 2 diamonds. He checks it over to me here, and we got 7 high and a dream. I start off with a bet of 1,500. He can just get folds from like ace high, king high, 10 high. Just kidding. That's trips. Gotta keep you guys on your feet. Anyways, look, things look pretty dire as my opponent makes the call, and things are really going off the rails. But the turn comes a shimmer of hope in the form of the 8 of diamonds. And the flush completes, but it gives me a straight draw, and that's just good enough for me to fire out $8,000. Do I have a plan, you might be wondering? Absolutely not, because Henry makes the call. I'm not feeling so great about this hand anymore, but that is when the river queen comes along. Ace king, that's a straight, and E9, also a straight. And my opponent checks once again, and maybe I'm a stubborn person, guys. I have no option in my head. I'm seeing red right now, and I'm definitely going to be bluffing. And I think $15,000 is a fair amount to hopefully get a fold from just one pair. Here we go. Henry in the blender. Thinks for what feels like an hour whether I get called or not. And if he does make the right call here, I'm going to be nearly down $60,000, a purely insurmountable amount to climb out of this hole. But he folds! Yes! Thank goodness! Oh, my lifeline getting this bluff through was huge for morale, and actually might help me save this session after all. After that pure bluff, Mariano raises it up to 1,100, and basically everyone at the table ends up making the call. I make the call too. With Queen Jack, why not? Let's go see a flop. With $8,000 in the middle, the flop is King 10-4, 2 spades. I've got a straight draw. I've got a dream. Mariano continues with the bet of $2,000 into the field. Tough makes the call. Henry makes the call. I make the call, and P makes the call. The field confirmed not very thinned out here at all. But when the turn comes at 9, wow, binking the nuts straight. But there's so many people out there. I decided to lead out for $5,000, putting in a small, like 1/3 pot bet. Would actually love to thin out the field, to be honest, considering how many people are involved. And here we go. Tough and Henry are the only callers now. Now just time to fade a spade on the river, please. River, 7 of diamonds. How beautiful. Still sitting with the nuts, and I can't possibly lose. I just want to figure out what I want to do. Checking may make some sense here, as I could be greedy to check raise, but I also could just bet and get paid out of the old-fashioned way. So I go with that. I put in a bet of $11,000. Tough folds, and now back onto Henry, taking his time. You can see what he has, and it's a raise up to $40,000, and I'm sitting with Queen Jack, the nuts. How much of a better dream spot could I possibly ask for? I am all in and jam. Henry snap calls, nuts versus nuts. That is a $200,000 pot getting chopped out right before our very eyes. Do I wish he had a set of some sort? Of course. But hey, I can't complain when I don't lose money in a poker hand. So at this point in the night, about 4 hours in, the mandatory $200 straddle is on, and EFAN raises it up to 600. Looking out at Ace King on the straddle off about 100 big blinds, I think maybe we can just get it in. I 3-bet to 3,000, back to EFAN, who raises to 8,000. Well, I don't love it, but my opponent has about 25,000 left in the stack, and I'm all in. Snap call by my opponent. This cannot be great news, as I've got a very slim chance of winning this one here. Another $53,000 pot. We agreed to run it 2 times, and let's go to the commentary.
And a 2-1 favorite in this 53K pot.
Let's go twice, right?
Yeah, twice.
4.
Not much there for
4 out of
Rampage.
5.
Yeah. Ace.
Ace.
And Efan's going to win the first run out.
No, it's not too late.
I'm waiting.
Oh, there's an ace.
Oh, king.
How much is it?
Yeah, there you go. King.
Can you get a count, please? I need a count.
There we go.
They will chop this up as Rampage gets there on the second board.
I get bailed out and luckily chop up a pot where there's no blood. I gotta say, this one was some form of run good. Could have been losing, but hey, chopping means no blood. But we got the action here going. Bulldog raises to $1,200. The stand-up game is on, so everybody is call happy, and clearly so am I. I defend the straddle with 10-7 offsuit. Good luck to us going 6 ways to a flop of 8-6-5 rainbow. Honestly, pretty tempted to be betting this, but action ends up checking to Mariano, who fires out $2,000. Here, Henry puts in a check raise to $6,500. Now I've got a pretty tricky situation. I've got a straight draw and a 9 that gives me the nuts for the highest straight. So clearly, I am not going to be folding, and Mariano comes along for a call as well. So another massive pot brewing. In the turn comes a 6 of diamonds. Now this is when things get a little tricky. Henry, who check raised on the flops, decides to slow down multi-way, and the board is paired, and I think I could maybe get a bluff out here, but the issue is I still have Mariano left to act behind. I decided to being passive, and Mariano checks through as well, so we're going to see a free river card in the form of the 10 of hearts. Here, this time I'm binking top pair, but now what? I honestly don't know how to play this hand, and betting my hand seems a little ambitious to get value from worse. I check it over to Mariano here, who doesn't take too long before firing out $14,000. Henry gets out of the way and folds, and here I am closing out the action. I mean, what is Mariano repping here? He's got like a straight, which seems out of the question as I went check on the turn. Does he have pocket jacks or something? I mean, who really knows? But anyways, enough of this. Show me, guys. I'm going to pay the $14,000, and he's going to show me 8-7. But roll back the tape. He actually misread his hand, thinking he had a 6 for trips. Well, I show the 10. I win the pot, and wow, incredible. First time I could be on the other end of a misclick. So here we go. A rare mistake from Mariano, and one that helps me win $50,000. We got a lot of developments going on this hand, and we're moving on to one of the last hands of the night, guys. After winning some smaller pots and the stream winding down, we've got one last situation to be in, and I'm in this $400 straddle here. Bulldog raises to $1,200. Mariano 3-bets to $6,500, and I pick up kings. I mean, really dealing some heat over here and hoping to just win a big one. I 4-bet to $15,000. Bulldog folds, but now Mariano contemplates his spot over and actually ends up making the call. So this would be a massive spot to end the night as we both have well over 100,000 chips. But the flop comes ace, queen, 6, all clubs. Here we go. Every time I pick up kings, I swear they're ace magnets. But Mariano starts off with a check. I decided to fire something out regardless of this bet here. I threw out $8,000. So about a quarter size of the pot. And Mariano does end up making the call. Turn is a board pairing queen. Don't love this spot as Mariano checks again. And now I'm totally over it. I'm not going to put a single more dime into the middle, considering how bad my hand is with the ace out there. And the river comes a 6. Very weird hand and board as we're both double paired. But Mariano fires out 4,600. Seems like I'm in a tough spot here. A lot of the money has already went in, and the pot here right now is about a 46,000. It's not a whole lot considering the size of the pot. It's only 10% pot bet here. And yeah, I think I'm going to have to reluctantly pay off this one. I kiss my chips goodbye, and I just get shown the bad news. Of course, I get windmilled in my face. And here, ending the night losing a $60,000 pot. I must say, it's not very fun, but at least it's not as bad as being down a full $30,000 like I was earlier in the day.
Who's your favorite Pokemon? Back home with my boy, and nice to book a win, actually, which is really fun. In for $100,000. I was stuck like 30K at the top, or at the bottom. Went up like 40K, and then I lost like a 60K pot to Mariano, sadly. And at least it went to a good friend of mine with the kings there. And I ended up being in for 150, out for 162,500 for a profit of 12.5k, and seems reasonable to win. I have no complaints, and we're moving up, making progress in the Road to a Million challenge. Got a very fun game in the next video coming up, so stay tuned for that. Playing with Lil Pump and a lot of fun people, so good luck us, and hopefully we'll keep this train going on the right direction.